Starting off the list at number 10 is Monique. It has been a year since the actress rocked the industry by going head to head with Netflix, saying that she didn't get paid what other comedians did for her comedy special. Things went as far as Monique demanded a boycott against Netflix and turned down the $500,000 they offered her for the special. I'll take that $500,000. Amy Schumer got $13 million for hers, to put it into some perspective for you. So I guess, yes, that is a big difference. Long story short, she caused a huge controversy saying that she didn't get paid as much because she was black. She then went on to insult about 80% of fellow entertainers in the industry who weren't supportive of her claims. And that is when the queen of daytime TV stepped in, Oprah. The two of them were once like family, pretty much best friends, but had an issue back in 2009 after Oprah brought Mo's family on her show without her consent. She ended up bringing her mom and her brother, who Monique has openly accused of sexually assaulting her, so obviously there was a lot of beef there. They were able to work things out, but when it came to these more recent scandals with Netflix and the rest of Hollywood, Oprah called Monique negative during an interview, and she clapped back at Oprah, calling her a coward. We haven't heard much from her ever since, and she hasn't acted in anything since 2016. So girl, where are you at? Where are you hiding? Next up at number 9 is Jared Fogle. If you don't recognize him by just his name, he was that guy that was pretty much in every Subway commercial. He was literally the pitch man for the entire company, like that was his actual job. He got the sweet gig after losing a significant amount of weight with the help of Subway sandwiches. His weight loss story led him to being the spokesperson for all of their advertising campaigns from the years 2000 all the way until 2015. We saw his face everywhere, but then all of a sudden that quickly changed and he basically went into hiding. But once we found out why, it made sense. Some people might have noticed that he was no longer the face of Subway and questioned why, until headlines came out saying that he was charged for child pornography and paying for sex with minors. He pleaded guilty to his charges and was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison. His attorneys argued that he should only have a 5-year sentence since the girls he had sex with were 16 and 17 years old, not young children. That did not work in his favor. Jared agreed to pay a total of $1.4 million in restitution to 14 different victims, and on top of that, the judge fined him $175,000. Since then, his disappearance is no longer a mystery, and he is now behind bars. Coming in at number 8 is Stacey Dash. You probably know her as the actress from the iconic movie Clueless. She was blacklisted a few years ago after her political views cost her her entire career. She's a conservative who was clever enough to write a book on her blacklisting experience and called it "There Goes My Social Life, From Clueless to Conservative." It all happened by one simple tweet. During the Barack Obama election, she tweeted out, "Vote for Romney, the only hope for your future." She said she tweeted it out because she didn't want Obama to have another 4 years, they were her beliefs, and she was sticking by them. But when she woke up the next day, everything was different. She spoke about it during an interview in 2016 and said, "I've been blacklisted, my agents have dropped me, I haven't auditioned in over a year because my beliefs and what I stand for." After that, she disappeared from Hollywood basically. We stopped hearing about her, but the mystery of her disappearance ended just 2 days ago. She was back in the headlines, but this time it was because of her mugshot. Turns out she was arrested for domestic battery after an incident with a male. So things are not looking too good for her. Sliding into number 7 spot is James Franco. The reason why he landed himself on the blacklist is really no surprise anymore. It was in the news for a while, and I have talked about it a handful of times on this channel, but for those who aren't familiar with the story, I will sum it up for you. It all started back in 2014 when screenshots surfaced of him trying to rent a hotel room for him and a 17-year-old girl who he knew was underage, and screenshots show that. Of course, when the screenshots broke the internet, people were disgusted and we thought we would never hear from him again. But surprisingly, his career continued on after the scandal faded out. All was good in the hood until 2018 when he showed up to the Golden Globe Awards wearing a Time's Up pin. The pin was designed to show support for women who are victims of sexual assault and harassment. But a variety of women started tweeting accusations of sexual misconduct and assault in reference to his pin. They literally started tweeting out stories of how he sexually assaulted them and hashtagged it #CuteTimesUpPin. Since then, he's been completely MIA. We haven't seen him on the big screen, and he deleted all of his social media accounts. Anything on his IMDb accounts are small projects that he has produced himself on his own budget. His most recent project, Zeroville, just came out, and it's the first time we are seeing him acting in years. However, it's already been titled the biggest box office flop of 2019, earning just $8,000 on its opening weekend in the US. Yikes. And at number 6 is Roseanne Barr. The actress once had her own ABC show titled after her, Roseanne, which is why it is such a shame that she lost it all by an another single tweet. People are losing their careers over Twitter. Maybe it is time to delete your account. Besides her work, she's also known for being a Trump supporter, which of course has caused her some controversy. However, it was a specific tweet back in May 2018 that had her career spiral out of control. Her tweets were about Valerie Jarrett, a senior advisor to the former President Barack Obama. In her tweet, she compared Valerie to the cross between the Muslim Brotherhood and the movie Planet of the Apes. ABC cancelled her show immediately, which was supposed to reboot the same day, coincidentally. As of January of this year, her Twitter was off limits and she moved into her mother's basement in order to get out of LA. She said that she was worried that everyone hated her and just wanted to avoid the public eye. We haven't heard or seen much from her, but the paparazzi is still trying. A more recent image surfaced a few months ago of Roseanne looking all disheveled outside of her home in Salt Lake City, Utah. Apparently, she was trying to take a picture of the paparazzi's license plate. She looks like a damn hot mess. Halfway through the list, number 5 is Brendan Fraser. 10 years ago, he was one of Hollywood's biggest stars, but then he suddenly disappeared. For 90s babies like me, you would know him from the Mummy franchise, George of the Jungle, and the Looney Tunes. After 2008, he disappeared from starring in big movie roles, and people started saying it was due to a drug addiction. But he finally came out with the truth years later, admitting that it had to do with an incident of sexual assault. He claimed that he was once physically groped by Philip Burke, a former president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. Burke called the allegation a, I quote, total fabrication, but still sent Brendan an apology letter after the actor complained to the HFPA. Since coming out with his story, he has slowly been returning to some acting roles, but for the most part, he just lays low at his home in New York. He actually bought a big house that overlooks a farm and has spent the last year going back and forth between home and Toronto. He loves spending time with his horses and relaxing down his little dirt road. Definitely a big step back from the Hollywood lifestyle. Here we are, number 4, with Paula Deen. For years, you would have seen her face plastered all over the Food Network. This was until a lawsuit was filed against her by Lisa Jackson, accusing the celebrity chef of racial discrimination. Lisa is Paula's former general manager at one of her restaurants, so they were once very close. She claims that Paula was using the N-word when talking about African Americans. She was asked during an interview if she has ever used this word, and her response was, yes, of course, it's just what they are, they're jokes. Most jokes are about Jewish people, rednecks, black folks. I can't determine what offends another person. After her statement, networks canceled her TV programs worldwide and stores even stopped selling her products. She disappeared from the public eye for a while, but was recognized once again after making insensitive comments about another Food Network star that passed away. Chef Carl Ruiz died at the age of 44, and many celebrity chefs posted beautiful tributes in his honor. However, while appearing on the Big J show, she was asked about his death, and her response was, I'm not familiar with him, but I'm sorry to hear that. You know, they say the restaurant business will kill you. No pun intended. She laughed it off, but no one was laughing with her, and just when you thought she might get off the blacklist, she done did it again. Dug herself a deeper hole. Taking the number 3 spot on our list is J.D. Salinger. Everyone who went through high school had to read the book The Catcher in the Rye, which was written by a famous author, J.D. Salinger. He sadly passed away in 2010 at the age of 91, but before that, his career took a turn and he went into hiding after being blacklisted, but we never even knew. In 2013, 2 authors named Shane Salerno and David Shields published a book called Salinger, which revealed the author's crazy life and uncovered some very heartbreaking stories. Turns out he actually never spoke about his time in the World War II, and he ended up checking himself into a mental institution after leaving to help him deal with what he had witnessed in the war. Once he left the institution, he actually went back into the army and participated in the denazification of Germany. But because of this, there were times that some of his books were turned down. Publishers turned him down because they thought that he was crazy. Shane Salerno said during an interview, being told that he was crazy was a great wound to him. In fact, he teared up in the room and was deeply, deeply hurt. They said that the effects of the war and being turned down as a writer sent him into this life of isolation. He disappeared from everyone and went on to live a very private life. Honestly, after hearing this story, I feel like I really underappreciated the whole Catcher in the Rye book. Like, I hated reading that. I'm pretty sure I didn't. I probably did those things where you googled the notes and it like sums it up for you. Taking second place on our list is Lelaine, the adored Disney star from the hit TV series Lizzie McGuire. Fans started questioning where she went when she didn't show up in the final episodes of the series, and when they didn't see her return for the Lizzie McGuire movie either. In the movie, they said her character was on a family vacation in Mexico, but the real reason she went missing is because she was actually arrested and pled guilty to the possession of crystal meth. Somehow she managed to keep it all hidden during the time that it was going on. It actually wasn't until she had a warrant out for her arrest that it made headlines. She was charged with a felony after not showing up for her court appearance. After her legal issues were all sorted out, she went on to work a regular job in LA where she said it just paid the bills. It was recently announced that Lizzie McGuire was coming back with a reboot, so fans are wondering if maybe she will be making a return. Is she going to be invited? Will she say yes? We're gonna have to wait and see. Taking our number 1 spot is Richard Simmons. The hilarious exercise guru taught his last exercise class in 2014, and we haven't seen him ever since. Like literally, he walked out of the Beverly Hills studio and wasn't seen publicly for over 3 years. A podcast was created called Missing Richard Simmons, which claimed that he was being held hostage in his Hollywood Hills home by his housekeeper, or that he was possibly transitioning into a woman. Rumors started spreading, but his brother Lenny Simmons came forward with a statement saying, I quote, "He's not sick. These things about him transitioning into a woman are ridiculous. After 40 some odd years, he just decided that he wants to rest, he wants time to himself." The only reason he ever found himself blacklisted was because of his choice to leave and how he went about it, without any explanation at all. Fitness friend Billy Blank said in June 2019 that he thinks Richard will be making a comeback, but Richard's representative declined to comment on it. I mean, he's 70 years old now. Let the man rest. Starting off our list at number 10 is Cameron Diaz. Have you ever wondered what happened to this hilarious and beautiful actress? At one point in time, she was showing up in pretty much every movie that was brought to the big screen, but then out of nowhere, we just kinda stopped seeing her. I didn't realize until recently that she actually hasn't been in anything since 2014. That was her last big year in the industry when we saw her in The Other Woman, Sex Tape, and Annie all in 1 year, and we haven't seen her since. Turns out last year she started making jokes that she retired, and so did her friends and previous co-stars. In March 2018, her close friend Selma Blair did an interview and said, "I would have liked to do a sequel, but Cameron's retired from acting. She's like, I'm done." This had Hollywood and fans wondering why the 45-year-old actress chose to retire without telling anyone. Not that she owes anyone an explanation, it just would have been nice to have a heads up. In 2018, it was confirmed that she has retired from acting and is now living a very low-key life. Since seeing her on the big screen, she has tied the knot to Benji Madden and has also been putting privacy above everything else. She turned her focus to wellness and has since released a few books now on health and aging. At number 9 is Chuck Norris. The actor has had a widely successful career, which is probably why it's been weird to have him missing from the acting industry. He has been a household name for nearly 50 years, but he recently made the decision to leave Hollywood without much of an explanation. Back in 2005, he turned his focus on his martial arts experience and debuted the World Combat League in the hopes of giving young fighters a chance to shine. He was still finding time to act, but he took a long break between 2005 to 2012. We saw him make a return in The Expendables 2 back in 2012, and then 3 years later in 2015 when he was a voice on the TV series The Goldbergs. Some fans believed he might have been making his return to acting, but during the 10 years he only had 2 credits to his name, and we haven't seen him ever since. Next up at number 8 is Shelley Duvall. You might remember her for her legendary performance as Wendy Torrance in The Shining. She established herself as one of the best actresses of her time with her extraordinary performances. However, in 2012 she disappeared out of the public eye, and no one knew what the actress was going through in her personal life. It wasn't until 2016 that we got an explanation for her sudden disappearance. The actress appeared on the Dr. Phil show, where she revealed that she had been struggling with a mental illness over the years. In her interview, you can tell that she is mentally unstable because she was discussing the fear of the Sheriff of Bottingham, which is a fictional character in Robin Hood. Not only that, but she was also claiming that the late Robin Williams is still alive and is actually shape-shifting.
I don't think he's dead.
Yeah, you don't think he's dead?
No.
Where do you think he is?
Shape-shifting.
Yeah.
She went on to explain that she has seen him before and that he looks good in some forms and other forms he doesn't. Once the interview was released, Dr. Phil was heavily criticized for airing the interview, which was deemed as exploitative of her mental illness. The interview is very hard to watch because you can see that the actress is truly struggling. Sliding into our number 7 spot is Jack Gleeson. The young actor played Joffrey in HBO's Game of Thrones. His character was one of the most hated characters in television history for being so vile and repulsive. He played the character from 2011 to 2014, but after the boy was killed off the show, Gleeson decided he wanted to step away from acting. The actor was always the first one to say that he is nothing like his character and left the business saying he didn't enjoy it as much as he used to. He was in the prime of his career, but went on to tell interviewers that he didn't want to be in the spotlight and actually wanted to go back to school. He decided to enroll himself at the Trinity College in Dublin to study philosophy and theology. During an interview he said, and I quote, "I hate celebrity culture." so, he returned back home to school and is also a part of the Dublin-based theatre company called Collapsing Horse. And at number 6 is Ariana Richards. The child actor rose to fame with her role in the original Jurassic Park movie in 1993. She continued to pursue acting and even reprised her role in 1997 for the Lost World Jurassic Park. Between 1998 and 2013, she seemed to have taken a break from acting as we didn't see her taking on any new roles. Back in 2013, she showed up in a TV movie called Battle Dogs, which led people to believe she might be making her way back into Hollywood. But she actually left the world of Hollywood behind, and we haven't seen her on the screen ever since. Turns out the actress is now a painter, and a very successful one at that. Her artwork is famously known because she does lifelike portraits where people can order them as special gifts. I'm not gonna lie, I think it is a little refreshing for a young woman to leave Hollywood and still pursue a different form of art and be successful at it. She's only 39 years old, so she still has plenty of time to make her way back into Hollywood if she really wanted to. Halfway through our list at number 5 is Jack Nicholson. The man is titled a legend when it comes to acting, which is probably why it's no surprise that he can do whatever he pleases to do. Stepping away from the limelight was one of his decisions that left people wondering why he just upped and left. Back when he was doing an interview with The Sun, the actor opened up and said, "I'm not going to work until the day I die. That's not why I started this. I mean, I'm not driven. I was driven, but now I'm not. I don't have to be out there anymore. In fact, there's part of me that never really liked being out there." Well, I guess it is as simple as that. We haven't seen him acting since 2010 when he took on the role as Charles in How Do You Know? Last year in 2018, it was rumored that he would be coming out of retirement to star in the American remake of Tony Erdmann. Nothing has yet been confirmed though. Taking the number 4 spot is Jonathan Taylor Thomas, also known as JTT, or the son of Tim Allen on the hit TV show Home Improvement. When the young actor left the show, preteen hearts were shattered all over the world. At just 16 years old, the actor decided he wanted to leave the popular television show in order to live a more normal life. Many people didn't understand his choice, but he says it was just something he had to do. When speaking on it back in 2013, he said, "I'd been going non-stop since I was 8 years old. I wanted to go to school, to travel, and have a bit of a break. An education is more surefire guarantee that you have possibilities open to you." JTT actually went to Harvard University and studied philosophy and history and finished his degree at Columbia University. When he left Home Improvement, he didn't completely disappear from Hollywood. He could be found in a few movies, doing voiceover work, and made some guest appearances on TV shows. But he couldn't be found between the years 2006 to 2013 as he declined being part of the Home Improvement finale, which is why fans went crazy when he appeared on Tim Allen's show Last Man Standing in 2013 to 2015. But his appearance was short-lived and we haven't seen him back since. Alright guys, at number 3 is Lelaine, who you might know as Hilary Duff's BFF in the Disney series Lizzie McGuire. The show skyrocketed the whole cast into fame and it appeared like the world was at their fingertips. However, not long after the show stopped airing, Lelaine completely vanished from the public eye. She didn't even appear in the big screen release of the Lizzie McGuire movie, which fans were super bummed about. She did an interview with Huffington Post where she refers to the years after Disney Channel as dark. She claims she went nuts and made bad decisions, one of them which had her arrested for the felony possession of crystal meth in 2008. Things got even worse for the young starlet as she was a no-show for her court date appearance. That's when the judge issued a $50,000 bench warrant for her arrest. Last we heard about the case was that she enrolled in the Asian American Drug Abuse Program. Her IMDb shows that every few years she booked a somewhat of a smaller project, but her record remains with a serious felony charge that she can't undo. Here we are at number 2 with Rick Moranis. The actor was adored for his role as Wayne Zelinsky in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. The actor's career was a massive success, appearing in things like The Flintstones, Brother Bear, and Gravedale High. In the 80s and early 90s, he was one of the hottest comedy actors around. Unfortunately, in 1997, his wife at the time passed away from a battle with breast cancer. The actor says he realized it was too difficult to make movies and raise his 2 children without his wife. He decided to walk away from the spotlight and focused on being a single dad. He didn't appear in anything from 1997 to 2001. He then continued to do some smaller voiceover work for the next 17 years. He was pretty much off of Hollywood's radar. In 2018, his voice was heard in an episode on the TV series The Goldbergs, but that is it. The actor has opened up about it and said he meant for it to be a short break at first, but during his break he realized he didn't really miss the industry. He enjoyed his time off and enjoyed being a dad. Taking our number 1 spot is Amanda Bynes. The Nickelodeon star was once in the prime of her career. She had a very successful career which began in 1998 and went all the way until 2010. Through different TV shows and movies, she had a huge fan base to support her as an actress, me being one of them. But the last movie we saw her in was Easy A all the way back in 2010. After that, her career came to a complete halt and no one really knew why. It wasn't until she began making headlines, and not for good reason. In 2012, she was arrested for driving drunk and hitting the side of a cop car. Luckily, no one was hurt, only minor paint damage was done to both vehicles. After that, fans started seeing Amanda get a little bit out of control. She began tweeting inappropriate comments about other stars and even called President Barack Obama and his wife ugly. She also pulled a Britney Spears and shaved half of her head and then filled both her cheeks with dermal piercings. She started walking the Hollywood streets in crazy colored wigs, trying to hide her face from the camera. In May of 2013, she was once again arrested, but this time for possession of marijuana and reckless endangerment after she threw a bong out of her Manhattan apartment window. Just 2 months later, Bynes was placed under involuntary psychiatric hold after she started a fire on a stranger's driveway. It was made clear that the actress was suffering from some sort of mental illness. In 2018, she came back to do an interview where she opened up about her past, and she said she hopes to return to the acting industry. I am hoping too, girl. She was one of my favorite actresses as a kid. Starting off our list at number 10 is Jennifer Lawrence. If you are a fan of the actress, then you might be wondering where she has been lately. She hasn't appeared as a lead in a film since 2018, and there was a time when she was appearing in most of them. Turns out she didn't disappear on purpose or have some epic plan to leave Hollywood, but her presence has not been made known and she hasn't been around much in the last few years. Even before the coronavirus pandemic started, Jennifer had been quarantining in her own little world, it seemed. Turns out she took some time off from acting and got married, which was completely private. She started dating her now husband, Cook Moranis, in 2018, and their wedding was on October 19th, 2019. The whole thing was kept as private as possible, and some would say her priorities were changed due to this new chapter in her life. But some good news, she is set to return to some movies next year. She signed on to a movie called Don't Look Up, which is now delayed until 2021, so it might just be her big comeback. Here's hoping, I really like her. Up next, number 9 is Macaulay Culkin. Probably one of the biggest examples of a celebrity disappearing from the Hollywood limelight. During the 90s, he was a child star that rose above the rest, and it seemed like his future in the industry was very bright. But he suddenly disappeared, and people were wondering what happened to the most famous kid on earth. In 1994, he had 3 big movies that year, and all of them bombed at the box office, which would definitely have an impact on a 14-year-old actor trying to make it big. He officially took his exit from the industry in 1995 during a difficult time in his personal life. His parents decided to separate, and they were facing a very vicious custody battle over Macaulay and his siblings. In the end, reports say his mother got full custody and he was estranged from his father ever since. We didn't see him in movies for many years, and anytime the paparazzi found him, the articles reported that he was struggling with a drug addiction. It wasn't until recent years that he has resurfaced and is taking on smaller projects but on his own terms. Swiping the number 8 spot is Meg Ryan. For a long time, she was known as America's sweetheart after taking over the 90s with her beauty and talent. After her first movie role in 1981, she kept getting job offers to a point where she had to drop out of college to focus on her film career. She was starring in some of the biggest rom-coms to this date, but then just disappeared in the early 2000s. Some people thought it may have to do with the scandal in which she was caught cheating on Dennis Quaid with Russell Crowe. Almost a decade after the scandal, she revealed that she was treated like the Scarlet Woman after that scandal happened, and revealed that Dennis had been dating other women too during their relationship. She also admitted that leaving Hollywood was actually a dream. During an interview, she said, "I have gotten what I guess I secretly wanted to do, be totally under the radar and live my life." Meg had no roles from 2009 to 2015, but in recent times you may see her in paparazzi photos around New York or some events because she will always be Meg Ryan. During her time away, she completely reconstructed her face though, so she may not be as recognizable as when you saw her last. Up next, number 7 is Jonathan Taylor Thomas, another heartthrob from the 90s who just disappeared from the industry randomly. He's mostly known for his role on the hit TV show Home Improvement, but he was winning over hearts ever since he performed the voice of young Simba in The Lion King. But when he reached his late teens, he quit Home Improvement, did a couple indie films, and then just vanished completely. A very bold move for someone who was just at the height of their career and probably had a long, successful one ahead of them. He is now 39 years old and hasn't walked a red carpet in over 15 years. So where did he go and what is he been up to? Turns out that he loved acting but hated the fame and attention being directed at his personal life. So he left and decided to focus on his studies instead. At 19 years old, he enrolled at Harvard University, where he spent 2 years studying philosophy and history. A few years ago though, he did make an appearance in Last Man Standing, where he was reunited with Tim Allen, who actually played his dad in Home Improvement. But he did it just for fun and says that he enjoys his life outside of Hollywood. Rolling into number 6 is Rachel Platten. The singer skyrocketed into fame with her hit single Fight Song. She grew a huge fan base rather quickly, and one fan even made it on The Ellen Show after she did an emotional cover to the song Fight Song. Her music career was gaining a ton of success, and she's even gone on some pretty epic tours. But in recent times, she's gone quiet and has not been putting out new music. She opened up about her reasoning in 2019, saying that after having a baby, she struggled with postpartum anxiety. She opened up about it in a lengthy Instagram post where she said that even when she was on tour, she was crying in bathrooms some days because the anxiety was so difficult. So once the tour was done, she poured her heart and soul into being a new mom and less on the Hollywood life as a singer. But she did recently pop up on TikTok and said that she's creating new music and is hoping to be back into it soon. Halfway through the list, at number 5 is Cameron Diaz. Back in 2014, she was one of the most sought out female celebrities in the game. She was appearing in tons of magazines and taking the lead in comedy rom-coms. But then she suddenly disappeared from the limelight and was no longer showing up on our screens. It wasn't until 2018 when she admitted to Entertainment Weekly that she had officially retired from acting. Fans were shocked at first, but later found out that she went on to have a more quiet family life. She got married to Benji Madden and they had a little girl, so her attention and priorities completely switched, as it would for a lot of new mothers. Reports say that having a baby was one of the main reasons why she left Hollywood. Reports claim that they were trying to get pregnant for a while and nothing was working. But fans did get a nice surprise recently when she did a Skype interview with Jimmy Fallon where she talked about being a mom and what she is up to these days. Taking over the number 4 spot is Jack Gleeson. The young actor played King Joffrey in the hit TV series Game of Thrones, but then announced he would be retiring after its 4th season. Despite being just a teenager when he started the show, he has hinted at retirement on more than one occasion. But in 2019, it became official. He spoke with Entertainment Weekly and said that he's been acting since he was 8 years old and doesn't enjoy it anymore like he used to. He said, "Up until now, acting was always something I did for recreation with my friends or in the summer for some fun. I enjoyed it. When you make a living from something, it changes your relationship with it. It's not like I hate it, it's just not what I want to do." After he left, he moved back home to his family and joined a Dublin-based theatre company called Collapsing Horse. So he's still acting in some way. Making her way into number 3 is Mara Wilson. If you watched the movie Matilda when you were a kid, then you quickly fell in love with the title character and hoped that she would be your friend and teach you all of her cool magic tricks. The movie is a cult classic, and the actress behind the iconic character, Mara Wilson, had a very successful career lined up for her. But just a few years after the movie was released, Mara decided to quit the biz. Many people couldn't understand her decision and reasoning, so down the road she wrote a book called Where Am I Now? The Stories of Girlhood and Accidental Fame. After leaving Hollywood and growing her personal life, she found a passion for writing and started writing her own novels. She now lives a very normal life, but said that sometimes she will act in smaller projects with her friends. In spot number 2 is Freddie Prinze Jr. The actor was popping up in movies all over the place between 1998 to 2003, but then just disappeared without much reasoning for it. He did try to make big comebacks, but his last big screen appearance was in 2008. He was a huge heartthrob in the 90s and won multiple Teen Choice Awards for his roles. But it seemed like his career had lost some momentum, and he ended up trading in his movie career for a family. He married actress Sarah Michelle Gellar, who also retired from Hollywood, and now they have 2 children together and have changed their career paths. When asked if he would return to acting, he said, "I love being a full-time father. To remove myself from that equation would not be a good thing. I'm basically retired." After acting, he turned his focus on cooking and now has his own cookbooks, which I thought was very random.
Starting off at number 10, we have Rick Moranis. Rick was a major comedy star in the 80s, best known for starring in the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids franchise. However, he decided to leave Hollywood in 1991 because his wife Anne sadly died of cancer. He was left as a single father to 2 children and put acting on the back burner to raise his kids. After filming 1997's Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, Rick officially left Hollywood to focus on raising his kids full time. He has voice acted in a handful of roles since, but he's mostly stayed off screen. But it looks like his hiatus might be coming to an end soon, as there are talks to add another installment to the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids franchise. The film is called Shrunk, with Josh Gad playing his son, and it's currently in pre-production on IMDb, so I'm sure we're going to be seeing it soon. Also, make sure to like the video if you're liking it so far. In at number 9, Kris Humphries. Kris Humphries was a professional basketball star and briefly a reality TV star when he was married to Kim Kardashian. The Minneapolis-born athlete played for 9 different professional teams during his career, and he was a pretty low-key player in the league, of course, until the Kardashians got involved. And he became one of the top stars in the tabloids, with the Kardashian affiliation even getting him heckled on court. The pair got married, then divorced 72 days later, which of course didn't help the media circus. Kris ended up retiring from the NBA, and he moved back home and started franchising fast casual restaurants. He's remained out of the spotlight ever since. In at number 8, Audrey Hepburn. Audrey Hepburn is of course the legendary old Hollywood actress known for Breakfast at Tiffany's, along with many other iconic films. Her style also influenced the fashion trends of the next few decades. And even though she was a massive star, many people forget that she retired just a few years after her career peaked. During her acting days, Hepburn worked with UNICEF, crediting them with assisting her as a child in the war-torn Netherlands. Then when she retired in 1988, she became an official ambassador, and she used her fame to help people and bring attention to charities and human rights issues. In at number 7, Jamie Lynn Spears. Jamie Lynn Spears is best known for her role as Zoe in the hit show Zoe 101, but she left her career and the height of her fame to become a mother, as she became pregnant shortly after she stopped filming the show at the age of 16. She walked away from fame in an attempt to escape the scrutiny, and years later she shared her thought process at the time with Glamour. She said, quote, "I just wanted to get away from it as much as I could, to just go away and be a mom and figure out what I wanted, and to earn a sense of respect back for myself. Move to a town in the middle of nowhere and just raise my child. All I could be was a good mother." She's now married with 2 children and has not been in the spotlight since. And at number 6, Frankie Muniz. Please tell me I'm not the only one that had a huge crush on Frankie Muniz when they were growing up. Hopefully not just me. Frankie Muniz was a tween star best known for Malcolm in the Middle, but after he became mega famous as a teenager, he decided to leave acting to pursue another career. He ended up becoming a race car driver, and he had a lot of success too. In 2006, he joined Jensen Motorsport as a race car driver, and according to People, he competed in the Champ Car World Series. He also made his way to the highly televised Las Vegas Grand Prix. Frankie has said that he would go back to acting for Malcolm in the Middle reboot, and he did star in a few seasons of Dancing with the Stars. But he's mostly stayed away from the spotlight since his tween stardom. Halfway number 5, Dylan Sprouse. After becoming Disney stars, Cole and his brother Dylan stepped away from the spotlight. However, Cole decided to return and is now one of the stars of the hit show Riverdale. Dylan has decided to stay out of acting and decided to attend college. He attended NYU from 2011 to 2015, where he studied video game design. Then after started All Wise Metering. In an interview with Vanity Fair in 2018, Dylan stated, quote, "After graduating, I realized that it's something I really love doing, and it's also a big business opportunity. I was thinking about ways to invest my money, and I thought, well, if there's anything to invest your money in, alcohol is not a bad thing to invest in." Dylan has started a handful of indie short films since, but we don't expect him to come back into the spotlight anytime soon. And at number 4, Nikki Blonsky. Nikki Blonsky's rise to stardom is such a crazy story it could be the plot of a movie. In 2007, she was scooping ice cream in Cold Stone Creamery when she learned that she'd been cast in the role of Tracy Turnblad in the cinematic reboot of Hairspray, after applying to an open casting call. But after the breakout role, her career took a dive. Over the years, as Blonsky's acting roles have become fewer and farther between, rumors have circulated from time to time about what she does to make money. Some photos went viral of her sweeping up at a hair salon, which prompted her to respond on Twitter saying, quote, "It's true, I'm working at Superstar Salon as a makeup artist. And more, I am proud to be working and helping pay bills, but I'll never lose sight of my dreams." So it seems like she's still working towards her dreams, but for now, she's out of the spotlight. And at number 3, Kevin Jonas. Kevin Jonas is of course the older brother of the Jonas Brothers. But although Kevin Jonas rose to stardom during his time as a performer with his brothers, after the band broke up in 2013, Jonas focused on creating apps and other business ventures with his fortune from his JoBro days. He created an app called Yude, which showed nearby restaurants serving the type of food that you picked from a menu. He also started Jonas Warner, a real estate development and construction company that he established soon after the breakup of the band. In addition, Kevin is the co-CEO of the Blue Market. It's a business venture mainly focused on communication and pushing them to be actively visible in social media and gain a following. And although it seems that Kevin would prefer a life away from the spotlight, the band is such a staple in the hearts of young people everywhere, including myself. The band has gotten back together and recently made music. So it seems that Kevin is back in the spotlight for now, but not sure if that could change again in the future. In at number 2, George Clooney. George Clooney has slowly started to drift away from acting, and that's on purpose. The star has opened up in the past about his thoughts of quitting acting for good, and he's spoken about the fact that he doesn't like fame, saying in an interview, quote, "What's the guy in the big house on the hill got to complain about? The truth is the big house on the hill is isolating. There's no other way to say it. There are restrictions to this kind of fame. I haven't walked in Central Park for 15 years. I'd like to, you know?" Then in 2017, he said that he was seriously thinking of quitting acting, saying, quote, "Look, I acted for a long time and I'm 56. I'm not the guy that gets the girl anymore." He also added that he no longer needs to act to make money, as he sold his tequila company Casamigos for $1 billion. At the time, he had not acted in a movie since 2016, however, he did star in the 2020 film Midnight Sky, but that could potentially be his last movie. In at number 1, Taylor Momsen. Gossip Girl character and former child star Taylor Momsen began her transition out of Hollywood while she was still a series regular on the CW's teen soap Gossip Girl, which explains why Momsen looks so different at the end compared to the start of the show. Taylor formally announced that she had quit acting in 2011 to focus on her punk rock career with her band The Pretty Reckless. 9 years later, in 2020, The Pretty Reckless are still rocking on and preparing for a release of their 4th album. True to her word, Taylor has not returned to acting in any capacity. Momsen told the Daily Beast in 2014, quote, "When I got to a place where I realized I was in control of my own life and had found the right band and everything was coming to fruition, it wasn't even a question. I was going to quit my day job. I came to set every day with an effing guitar. But I'm very lucky the producers were nice enough to write me out, allow me to tour and pursue my passion." And honestly, good for her for chasing her dreams.
In at number 10, Geena Davis. Geena Davis has received numerous accolades for her acting work in both film and television and is noted for her portrayals of strong and authentic female characters, as well as her involvement in advocacy for women in the industry. When she won her first Oscar in 1988 for The Accidental Tourist, Geena became a massive star in Hollywood. She went on to do back-to-back roles in hits like Beetlejuice and Thelma and Louise. When the early 2000s rolled around though, Geena decided to step away from acting because the roles she was getting lacked complexity and the projects just weren't that interesting. Instead, she decided to start the Geena Davis Institute on Gender and Media in 2004 to increase the presence of female representation in film and television. She did make a comeback though when she joined a documentary called This Changes Everything, as well as the Netflix female wrestling comedy called Glow. In at number 9, Meg Ryan. Meg Ryan began her acting career in 1981 with minor roles before she joined the cast of the CBS soap opera called As the World Turns the following year. After that, she began to appear in a variety of supporting roles throughout the 1980s in big box office films such as Top Gun and When Harry Met Sally. By 1989, Meg Ryan had gained widespread attention for receiving her first Golden Globe nomination, which just really established her as an internationally known actor. When it came to romantic comedy flicks, everyone wanted to cast Meg. She was by far one of the most successful actresses in the 1990s and early 2000s because of this. That being said, Meg Ryan suddenly disappeared from Hollywood after a single role as a school teacher in a racy R-rated film ended her career. Meg thinks that because people had pigeonholed her as this comedic and lighthearted actress, they were almost appalled watching her act in anything that wasn't that good girl archetype. She was shocked at the vicious reactions that she received for being naked in one of the scenes, and thus being in the public eye suddenly made her feel isolated. Ryan was 41 at the time of the film's release, and the nudity just wasn't that big of a deal to her, but nonetheless, she disappeared from Hollywood. In at number 8, Rick Moranis. Back in 1980, Rick Moranis was just starting out in his career. He landed a role in the Canadian comedy series called SCTV, working alongside comedy legends like Harold Ramis, Catherine O'Hara, Eugene Levy, and John Candy, many of whom Rick would go on to work with in the future. The reason for Rick disappearing from Hollywood is actually quite sad. After his wife Anne passed away from breast cancer in 1997, he immediately had to shift his focus on raising their 2 children. In all of these interviews that he did much later, Rick mainly stayed very nonchalant about his choice to leave Hollywood to become a stay-at-home dad. During an interview with The Hollywood Reporter in 2015, he said, "I was working with really interesting people, wonderful people. I went from that to being at home with a couple of little kids, which is a very different lifestyle, but it was important to me. I have absolutely no regrets whatsoever. My life Life is Wonderful. Although he did sort of leave Hollywood, the comedian hasn't stopped working. He's almost exclusively done voiceover work from 1997 to 2006. In at number 7, Mike Myers. To me, Mike Myers will always be my comedy idol. I mean, his performances in Shrek, Wayne's World, and Austin Powers were so funny and over the top that I still laugh at them in 2020. Myers was also extremely popular as well during his time with Saturday Night Live, for which a sketch of his was even transformed into the movie Wayne's World. His troubles with Hollywood though started way back in the year 2000 when he signed on to another film also inspired by an SNL skit called Sprockets. Yes, that was the name. Halfway through production, the comedian left citing issues with the script. Him bailing on this production though resulted in 2 lawsuits from Universal Studios, one of which was for $30 million. He then went on to do that terrible live action version of Cat in the Hat, which absolutely tanked in the box office. The real reason he disappeared from Hollywood though was to put more focus on being a husband and a father. In at number 6, his comedy duo buddy, Dana Carvey. Best known for his work as a cast member on SNL as well, and of course Garth from Wayne's World. Dana is an actor, stand-up comedian, and excellent impressionist. Dana Carvey has audiences cracking up at his George Bush impression and his church lady character during 7 seasons of Saturday Night Live, and created unforgettable catchphrases with Mike Myers in 2 Wayne's World movies. But at the peak of his career in the late 1990s, Carvey stepped away to raise his 2 sons Dex and Thomas with his wife Paula since 1983. While speaking with People magazine, Carvey spoke about his decision to leave Hollywood. In the interview he said, "I have friends who get stressed about fading or not being as hot. I never quite engaged that. I have a lot of drive to try to be the best I can be, have people be blown away by what I do and repeating it. But the other side of me is fine wherever I am." He also was experiencing a lot of health complications during the late 90s, which caused him to undergo 4 angioplasties in less than a year, followed up with a double bypass surgery. However, his health is tip-top magoo now and his focus seems to be shifting back to stand-up comedy. Actually, he put out a great stand-up comedy hour on Netflix. Check that out. In at number 5, Jack Gleeson. Jack Gleeson is an Irish actor that received critical acclaim for playing the role of Joffrey Baratheon in the HBO series Game of Thrones. Jack began acting at the age of 8 in the Independent Theatre Workshop, and when asked why he stopped acting at the height of his career, really, Gleeson told Entertainment Weekly that he just wasn't enjoying it anymore. In the interview he said, "The answer isn't interesting or long-winded. I've been acting since age 8. I just stopped enjoying it as much as I used to, and now there's the prospect of doing it for a living, whereas up until now it was always something I did for recreation with my friends or in the summer for some fun. I enjoyed it, and when you make a living from something, it changes your relationship with it. It's not like I hate it, it's just not what I want to do. He will be sorely missed." Not Joffrey though, I hated that character. In at number 4, Sean Connery. Sean Connery without a doubt will always be James Bond to me, thanks to a run as the character from 1962 to 1983 that saw him starring in 7 films as a secret agent 007. By 1999, People magazine had declared him as the sexiest man of the century, and then to cap it all off, he was knighted in 2000. That's a great decade for him. One of his last big box office films that he did though was The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen in 2003. However, the film was not very well received and was mostly a commercial failure. I still loved it. Following this film, he kept fairly quiet about his future plans until revealing in 2006 that he had retired from acting. After accepting a Lifetime Achievement Award at the American Film Institute, Connery told the crowd, "I have retired for good. It's been a bit rough since Christmas, but I'm perfectly okay and I feel well. In fact, I'm working on a history book." History written by Sean Connery. I'd read that. In at number 3, Angus Jones. Angus Jones is perhaps best known for playing Jake Harper in the CBS sitcom 2.5 Men, for which he won 2 Young Artist Awards and a TV Land Award. The show was the most popular sitcom in the US with an average audience of around 15 million people. By 2010 though, he was the highest paid child star in television at just 17 years old. In 2012, Jones had turned 18 and really started to feel awkward with the new adult storylines that he was doing for the show. As a result of growing up, the writers could no longer give him these childish lines and innocent mannerisms that Jake was so well known for. By November of 2012, Angus said that he had been baptized and no longer wanted to appear on the show anymore. He even went as far as saying that the show is filth and thus conflicted with his newfound religious views. In at number 2, Carly Schroeder. Not too many people would probably even recognize Carly today, but way back she was best known for her recurring role on the Disney Channel series Lizzie McGuire. Originally booking it as a one-time appearance, she ended up shooting 12 episodes of the show and also appeared in the Lizzie McGuire movie in 2003 in the same role. Unlike most people though, Carly took a completely different route from retiring from acting. In February of 2019, Schroeder announced that she would be joining the United States Army. She then attended the Officer Candidate School and planned on working as an officer in the Military Intelligence Corps. She also received her commission as a second lieutenant on September 20th, 2019. Carly also explained during an interview with Business Insider that she didn't really talk about her time as an actress so that she could blend in and have people not treat her differently. Probably a good move. Last but certainly not least, on our number 1 spot, Amanda Bynes. Amanda Bynes rose to prominence in Hollywood as a child star in the late 1990s and early 2000s on Nickelodeon through the sketch comedy series called All That, which then led to her own spin-off series titled The Amanda Show. From there, her career seemed to be on the right path according to Hollywood rules. She was now starring in some bigger feature films, but because her life had been in the spotlight for so long, her downfalls were also highly publicized. She began to struggle with substance abuse and her legal issues, resulting in a hiatus from acting in 2010. She attempted to make a comeback in 2018, but nothing really happened, and thus she began to disappear from Hollywood. Probably for the best.
Starting off this countdown, we have Cameron Diaz. Cameron Diaz has starred in a number of iconic movies, from The Mask to There's Something About Mary to Charlie's Angels, and how could we forget about Shrek? Sadly, it seems as if Cameron is over her acting days. She last appeared on screen in 2014 for the film Annie. 4 years later, in 2018, she announced that she has retired. She said that she didn't really miss performing, and as of now, she's just enjoying spending quality time with her daughter. And she loves having tons of time for herself. Who knows though, maybe in a couple more years she'll give acting another go. But as for now, she's set on her retirement. In our 9th spot, we have Jennifer Stone. Any fan of the old school Disney Channel days will recognize Jennifer Stone from Wizards of Waverly Place, where she plays the eccentric Harper. After her Disney Channel days, Jennifer went on to star in a number of TV miniseries and movies. In fact, she was even in a Christmas movie with the actor who played Ned in Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide. Smash that like button if you remember that show. That's a throwback. Anyway, nowadays Jennifer has completely switched careers. She is now a registered nurse and is helping patients with COVID-19. That is incredible. Good for her. In our 8th spot, we have Jessica Biel. In an interview a couple years ago, Jessica revealed that it's getting harder and harder for her to get roles and to be cast. She claims that her good looks were holding her back. No word of a lie, she said that she was too pretty. Anyways, Jessica is still currently acting, but in more low-key roles. I believe her last big role was The Sinner in 2017. I mean, I heard it's a very good show, so props to her. But after that, it's been mainly voiceover gigs like in BoJack Horseman and Pete the Cat. Nothing huge and Oscar-worthy. Coming in at number 7, we have Lindsay Lohan. Honestly, Lindsay Lohan was responsible for some of the most iconic teen movies like Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen, The Parent Trap, Get a Clue, Mean Girls, Freaky Friday, like the list goes on and on. So it's quite sad that we lost such a talented actress with tons of potential. Anyways, Lohan's drug addiction got to her and she kind of fell off the map. When she did try and get back into acting, she was hard to deal with on set and she was demanding and unprofessional. Then of course we had the reality show Lindsay Lohan Beach Club in 2019, and that only lasted one season. Now she's back out of the public eye again. Coming in at number 6, we have Terry Crews, another actor who has been in some iconic shows and movies. But after Brooklyn Nine-Nine ending, it doesn't seem like Crews has any more work lined up and ready to go. According to his IMDb page, he only filmed Brooklyn Nine-Nine this year, as well as voiced a character in the upcoming animated movie Rumble. This is unlike him, who is normally filming non-stop each year with multiple projects on the go. Hopefully we will be seeing more of Crews next year, but as of now, he has no projects lined up. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Jack Gleeson, who you might recognize from Game of Thrones. If you're a fan of the show, then chances are you hated his character. But surprisingly enough, even after acting in such an iconic show, Jack barely got any other acting roles after Game of Thrones. In 2014, he was pretty discouraged by this and said he wanted to resign from acting to focus on his academics. He ended up taking a philosophy course in Ireland. When he announced his decision to take a break from acting, he said, and I quote, "I just stopped enjoying it as much as I used to, and now there's the prospect of doing it for a living, whereas up until now it was always something I did for recreation with my friends or in the summer for some fun. I enjoyed it. When you make a living from something, it changes your relationship with it. It's not like I hate it, it's just not what I want to do." But acting isn't out of the picture. He ended up opening a successful touring theater company and starred in the BBC comedy Out of Her Mind in March. He just won't be in the spotlight as much as he was originally. Coming in at number 4, we have Freddie Prinze Jr. You might know him in I Know What You Did Last Summer, or maybe from his iconic role of Fred in the live-action Scooby-Doo. That right there is my childhood. He also appeared in a back-to-back role in Friends in 2002. Well, after appearing in season 8 of the show 24 with Kiefer Sutherland, Freddie said that he wanted to quit acting. According to him, him, and I quote, "I did 24. It was terrible. I hated every moment of it. Kiefer was the most unprofessional dude in the world. That's not me talking trash. I'd say it to his face. I think everyone that's worked with him has said that. Ouch." He continued on saying, and I quote, "I just wanted to quit the business after that, so I just sort of stopped." So a bad set experience is what triggered Freddie to stop acting. Nowadays though, he's a chef and released his own cookbooks. And he's married to Daphne from Scooby-Doo. Anyway, moving on to number 3, we have Taylor Lautner. After Shark Boy and Lava Girl and Cheaper by the Dozen, Taylor went on to star in Twilight, which is probably what he's best known for. Then he acted in Scream Queens Season 2, which was interesting to say the least. After that, he kinda just fell out of the public eye. That was until recently when he announced his proposal to his now fiancée, Taylor Dome, meaning that they will both be Taylor Lautner if she chooses to keep his last name. It seems as if Taylor had a harder time transitioning from Twilight to more serious roles. It took a while, but his co-stars Robert Pattinson and Kristen Stewart both did it. Now it's time for you, Taylor. Moving on to number 2, we have Betty White, one of the purest souls out there. Betty White is just incredible, no one can deny that. And this queen is 99 years old, soon she'll be 100, which is hard to believe because she looks too good for her age. Anyway, Betty White has been slowing down on her work lately. Her recent credits are mainly voiceover work, but she has guest starred in a couple of TV shows and movies. But according to her IMDb page, since 2019 she hasn't done any work, which is completely acceptable. Like, this woman has been working since she was a teenager. I just need to know her secrets to living long and looking that damn good. And in our number 1 spot today we have Daniel Day-Lewis. Now this one is hard to believe. Daniel Day-Lewis is incredibly talented. He's got 3 Oscars, 4 British Academy Film Awards, and even got knighted by Queen Elizabeth II. But in 2017, Daniel Day-Lewis released a statement through his rep. The rep said, and I quote, "Daniel Day-Lewis will no longer be working as an actor. This is a private decision and neither he nor his representatives will make any further comment on this subject." This was announced not long after receiving an Academy Award nomination for Phantom Thread. Now, Lewis did go into semi-retirement in the 90s, so maybe that's what's happening again. He's just gonna take a little short break and then come back. Hopefully, he'll be back making movies in no time.